Hello and welcome to this episode of the Gene Keys Exploration. My name is Shelly Szigli and I am a Gene Keys guide. I'm excited to be sharing with you an exploration of each of the gene keys, starting from the first gene key, moving our way all the way through to the 64th gene key. Disclaimer, these episodes are really just about sitting with the energy of the gene keys and literally, at times, reading from Richard Rudd's book. The gene keys are so vast and complex, and as a guide, I don't remember much of the information, so we're going to be exploring these gene keys together. You can find my work at www.genekeyrecordkeeper.com. And other than that, I just hope you enjoy the show and enjoy this exploration. Please feel free to share it, leave us a review, and tell us how this exploration was for you. Hello, it is Shelly. Welcome to the journey through the 7th gene key. Now, I have been doing a daily exploration in the past few days, and I took a break yesterday after burning myself out. I burned myself out from the gene key journey. So here I am the next day, and I am ready to journey with you through the 7th gene key. Now, it's important to know, here's my disclaimer, I am not an expert on the gene keys. I do not have anything memorized except for my own gene keys, but the 7th gene key is completely new to me. And the beautiful thing about the gene key system is that you are not required to be an expert. Really, it would be very difficult to be an expert, and I believe there's only a few in the world who are really proficient in all 64 gene keys. And good on them, because these gene keys are deep. There is a lot to them. So I have the book open, The Gene Keys, Embracing Your Higher Purpose by Richard Rudd. And the 7th gene key, there's 4 words underneath it. Virtue is its own reward. That is 5 words. So, the shadow of the 7th gene key is division, and the gift is guidance, and the Siddhi is virtue. So, I'm going to read from the book, and I'm going to start right at the first paragraph here and see what the book has to say. The 7th shadow of division is one of the main reasons human society operates in hierarchies. So this is government systems, monarchs, right? We see hierarchies in every system, even in school systems, right? There's the ones at the top, and then as we trickle down, we get to less stature. From the perspective of the organization, they would say less responsibility, right? Depending what side they're on. So not only is this shadow responsible for the manifestation of hierarchy, but it also makes you think in terms of hierarchy. We have become so used to thinking this way that we no longer conceive that another way might exist. Absolutely. Hierarchy is based upon division. It divides human beings into social classes, economic classes, racial castes, and political wings. The reason for this division is rooted far more deeply than our psychology. It is actually stamped upon our genes. It is through the 7th shadow that we are programmed to follow leaders, and it is also through this shadow that certain people are programmed to behave as leaders. On a subtle level, even democracy encourages division. Modern political leaders can still force their way to the top. They can cheat, spin, or bend the truth, manipulate, and even buy their way into leadership. Until leadership demands its highest frequency, that of the 7th Siddhi of virtue, we will never fully see an end to the political division and hierarchy. The 7th shadow cannot command true respect or loyalty, because it has at its core the lust for power, rather than the good of others. Those who are elected as our leaders are chosen because they have genetic imprinting that marks them as alphas. However, this does not necessarily make them good leaders. Just as there are leaders, so there must also be followers. And these followers are equally influenced by the seventh shadow. Since the mass consciousness of humanity operates at a low frequency, it does not recognize high-frequency leaders, so it does not elect them to power. So this is really interesting because this whole system, hierarchy, class, race, division thing has been the dictator of our reality. It's really all we know. We are beginning now to stretch outside of these narrow-minded thinkings and ways of being. However, I often think of this, it's going to be a process to unwind from all of these systems and create new ones. And there is this, new age community, this utopia, new earth society that they feel that they've done it or are doing it. And in some ways they are, because they're living, with high ideals or trying to or attempting to. But the problem is, because it's so deeply intertwined, most of these communities end up becoming cult-like. They end up having really hidden distortions because nobody wants to talk about them because they're not in alignment to the group's ideals or what the group appears to be. So it becomes, a big-ass mess. So this shifting and this evolution from division into virtue, as the Siddhi of the Gene Key says, is going to take a lot of work. And the gift of this Gene Key is guidance. So I'm certain, as we start exploring that guidance, that this is the key. This is part of the key that's going to take us to that place where our systems maybe are no longer systems. Maybe we're just operating. Maybe we tap into our individual ability to know that we can be good. Not only that we can be good, but that deep down we desire to be good more than anything else. That is what the human is for, right? Possibly we transcend this whole, I need to be operating in my shadow. I need to, lead or follow. Because he's right, it's stamped into our genetic code. I know for myself, being a follower, like growing up and being like, man, these are my choices. I'm either following or I'm leading. I'm taking leading. I don't want to follow. That seems really bad. And look at who we're following. That seems even worse, right? So we have these out-of-the-box thinkers, and perhaps you are one, and we want to expand, we want to grow, but we're like looking at the leaders and we're like, geez, we got to do something here. We gotta get up there and, become a leader. But then in our own pursuit of becoming a leader, we end up falling into the same stuff until we realize what we're doing. If we do, some people don't, some people just get tainted and stay there and don't move. So this is really interesting, Richard. This seventh gene key is massively huge in our world. So the repressive nature of the seventh shadow is hidden. And I'm going to read here. When the seventh gene key is repressed, it simply fails to manifest in the world. These people carry the genetic imprinting for recognition as leaders, but remain hidden. This creates immense pressure within them, as well as frustration and resentment, all of which can manifest as physical symptoms in the bodies and emotion. The world today is actually full of hidden leaders, living behind shadow veils that prevent others from seeing them and benefiting from them. The force that prevents a person's recognition comes from within that person that has nothing to do with what they do in the world. Thus, for these people to step into leadership, they must first recognize the power within themselves. As they do, a great tide of optimism and intelligence is released back into the world, which instantly gains them recognition from society at large. That's the thing. So many of the clients that I work with, and the reason why I do the work that I do is because I know the very thing he's talking about. That a lot of these people that have big things to do, that have the gift of guidance, that desire more than anything to be a part of solutions, that desire more than anything to be seen, to be heard, and not from an egoic place, but from a soul place. But there's so much work to do to unwind in order to get there. There's so much work that it seems impossible. But the thing is, it's not impossible, and it's actually quite simple with the right guide. And really, that's what, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing these gene keys explorations, right? Because with a guide, with something to anchor onto, and not to take from or be like, but just to say, hey, like, show me what's possible, and I'll find my way, because these people find their way. And they find it so beautifully and more magically, and often even better than I do. And that is a wonderful, wonderful gift. Okay, here we go. So next, the reactive nature, dictatorial. The reactive side of the seventh shadow knows well that it is a leader, and it takes full advantage of this by abusing its position. These people use those who follow them to their own advantage, thus reinforcing their status as followers. True leadership encourages people not to rely on others, whereas this style of leadership demands complete reliance either through pure power of presence or through subtler means. These people are masters of patterns and can manipulate others by locking them into certain patterns. These can be intellectual patterns of thinking or belief, powerful emotional games, or materialistic patterns involving money. The game is to trap followers and believing that they need leadership. Naturally, such leaders only attract followers who want to remain at a victim level of consciousness. The dictators, the ones who know exactly what they're doing, the ones who have a bigger plan, the ones who do not give an F about what they're doing, who they're doing it to, what's got to happen. They know what they want, and they're going to go for it. They're going to drive for it. They're going to push for it, right? That's what he's talking about there. That's the dictator, that you can say, hey, this doesn't really feel good to me, or this doesn't look good. And they're going to say, sorry, don't care, right? And the thing is, with the dictator and the repressive, the repressive nature, both of these are in the wrong, right? Because it really is a balance, because it's a trap, right? The dictator, if the dictator expresses how they really feel, the victim isn't going to accept that either, because the victim wants to stay in the victim. So the victim needs the dictator to be the dictator so they can continue to be the victim. So there often is like a no-win scenario in this type of dynamic, because if the victim no longer gets to be the victim, they lose their power of being a victim, which, yes, people who live in victim do have a certain level of power. If the leader in the dictatorial part doesn't have the victim, then they don't have someone to boast them up. They don't have someone to hold them up. So it really is a tricky thing. Let's see what he has to say in regards to the gift. So the gift is guidance, the power behind the throne. True leadership, like true education, does not impose itself on anyone. It is the gift of being able to help others find their way forward in life rather than taking away their individual power. This is precisely what is meant for the name of the seventh gift, the gift of guidance. As was discussed in the seventh shadow, it is the driving force behind leaders that determines what kind of followers or supporters they will attract. At the gift level of the frequency, we see them move away from fear towards service. Leaders operating at this frequency are able to think at a collective organizational level. They know that unless individuals are suitably self-empowered, the organization will not thrive. To this end, people with the seventh gift are strong supporters and implementer of schemes that allow individuals more power, creativity, and autonomy at all levels of society. The seventh gift of guidance rests upon the ideal to service. To truly guide another person or group of people, you need to put aside your own opinions and judgments and listen intently to their needs. Great guides are great listeners. Sometimes simply by being listened to in the right way, a person finds the answer to their problems without direct input from the guide. People with the seventh gift have a powerful magnetic presence, and just from being in their aura, you can come to deep clarity about your own direction. This happens all the time in sessions. When I'm working with my client, often I don't say anything. I don't tell them anything. I don't suggest anything. It's just being there, listening, having a conversation, and the aha moments just spring up. The aha moments just occur. When somebody feels like they're being told, they can often shut down. Now, here's the thing. If something inspired is coming through and there's, this pull to speak, of course, share, but make sure you're sharing from the right place. Make sure you're not sharing so that you can be like, oh gosh, look how special I am, or look what I know, or any of that. Make sure it's relevant to the person that you're working with. Beautiful. Okay. So, people with the seventh gift do not lead from the front, but guide their energy of the group itself. They create a space in which an organic team harmony can develop on its own with minimal interference. They are often content to allow others with the requisite gifts to stand in the limelight while they lead quietly from behind the scenes. And in this sense, the seventh gene key is an archetype of the power behind the throne. This is the true meaning of guidance. Trusting in the process of life rather than forcing matters by taking control. The ability to surrender to life itself is the foundation of true leadership. Right. What is the mission? What is the purpose, right? What is the driving components behind our service? And when we can get in touch with that and we can really tap into that, then we understand that we don't have to be the savior, right? For a long time, for myself, and I'll do a little bit of disclosing here, nobody spoke as I spoke. Nobody in my world seemed to care about what I cared about. So there became this inner, push from me to think, nobody cares about this. I have to care. I have to push. I have to share what I know. I have to make sure. So I felt all this responsibility, this pressure, this weight that I put on myself. And it created a lot of crazy dynamics, even, with the people that I worked with. Because I took on that responsibility, I also became someone who's like, I can't tell them what I really think. I can't tell them what I really see. I can't tell them. I'll break them. What if they break? It's like taking on all this weight that is not ours to take on. So as I learned in my own journey and explored my own shadows of learning, what is that about? Why do I feel that I need to carry? Why do I feel I need to carry the torch? Why do I feel like I have to lay down for these people and make them understand, right? Like, what the heck is that about? So exploring those things in myself and then coming to this realization that that was all my shit. That, they were wrong in a lot of ways as well, but I put up with it. I allowed it. I created the space for it. I did all of those things. So reclaiming your power and then saying, hey, okay, guess what? I don't have to do this alone. Thank the heavens above. There's a team of humans out there who are waiting for me. They're waiting for my gifts. I'm waiting for their gifts. We're going to collaborate and we're going to do some massive things in this world, right? And that is the TYK method, the Transcend Your Karma Therapeutic Healing Method. This is what I've created. Like Richard's created the Gene Keys, I've created this system of healing that is a network. It is a network of practitioners all over the globe that are individually themselves expressing their own gifts and abilities, but have the tools to facilitate powerful healing work that inspires their clients to be in control of their own healing, from everything from the sessions itself to the way that the narrative and the dialogue goes, and anyways, all of these things. So this is beautiful. If you find that you have too much weight on your shoulders, or you're laying yourself down for others, or you think that you're the only one, I promise you, you are not the only one. I promise you, you have a team. And whatever shadows you have inside of you that you have to work through, because it's trauma. The trauma that we experience, even for myself, I was so full of trauma, living in a trauma response of not feeling supported, not feeling seen. That was my reality growing up. And although I grew up in a safe home physically, where I was provided for, all of those things, emotionally, I wasn't safe. Emotionally, and because I didn't know how to. There's no blame here. It just is what it is. So I learned to operate this way, and the same is for you. Whatever shadows you have, it's not that there's something wrong with you or you're a bad person. It's that you had to learn how to survive in the way that you did. And there's certain patterns that are deeply, deeply imprinted inside of you that you probably haven't seen and can't even see. And this is what the Gene Keys is for. This is why this system is gold, because you will find it. You will find the places inside you and you'll say, oh, how that hurts. My body hurts when I read this shadow. Yeah, your body hurts because you resonate with it and you can feel it, and your body's saying, oh, I've never been able to identify that before, but I'm identifying it right now and I'm going to release it. How beautiful is that? Okay, the seventh Siddhi, virtue, repairing the world. The seventh Siddhi is an energetic blueprint hidden inside each human being. All right, Richard, you got me already. First sentence, I'm like, okay. Despite many interpretations of the word virtue, true virtue has nothing to do with our concepts of morals or behavior. Anyone can behave in a pseudo-virtuous fashion. Oh God, I don't even get me started. There are so many people out there, you guys, that pseudo-virtue, pseudo-integrity, pseudo-I'm a good person, anyways, yeah. We saw throughout the seventh gift how deeply this gene key is connected to the issue of leadership. In every pack of animals, there's an alpha, one animal that others automatically follow. Among human beings, this too is the case. Leadership is determined by genetics, but quality of leadership is determined by the frequency passing through those genetics. Ding, 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 ding. At the gift level, we saw how the authoritarian style of leadership gave way to the more democratic style of the facilitator. Here in the seventh Siddhi, we find visionary leaders, but far more importantly, we find virtuous leaders. Amen. Virtue has been a deeply misunderstood Siddhi over the centuries. Those beings in which this Siddhi has manifested have indeed led exemplary lives. The seventh Siddhi contains the seed of the future man and woman, an archetype of perfected behavior that few normal people can live up to. The confusion has come about because people at lower levels of consciousness try to emulate the behavior of those in the Siddhic state, who is flowering. This creates deep tension because virtue is a final flowering rather than a path in itself. This is why we can't teach enlightenment, people. I'm dead serious. This is why we can't teach that. And when people try to attain what we have energetically, spiritually, all of that, they become very frustrated and they can become very angry. It's just not good. We cannot teach that virtue. Anyways, we can see from the beautiful metaphor, I'm not going to read that. Let's go over here. There's an interesting fugue played between the seventh Siddhi and its programming partner, the 13th Siddhi of empathy. This is best understood by the ancient symbol of the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. Whereas the seventh Siddhi pulls us into the future, the 13th Siddhi pushes us from the past. These two great Siddhis flower simultaneously in a human being, and they concern the collective destiny of mankind, with the 13th Siddhi representing the seed at the beginning of time, and the 7th representing the flower at the end of time. These two cities have a massive esoteric mythology connected to them. People in whom these states flower act as energetic guides for the entire human race. They have been called many names by many cultures, the keepers of the world, the Illuminati, the shining or chosen ones, but they have also been deeply misunderstood by many cultures. Ultimately, the seventh city concerns the future, and the future is about children. Ding, 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 that's why I have 8. As the seventh city flowers in humanity, one of the first places it will manifest is through parents and teachers. Children who grow up among virtuous people need no other kind of education or guidance. Even now, this small piece of information is the greatest key for parents. Children who grow up in the aura of true virtue will take that energy into whatever sphere of life they move into. And in doing so, they will slowly but surely transform the future of our planet. That is the key. This is it. This is why we're doing this work. We are doing the work for us, yes, but we are doing the work for the future of this planet, for the future of our species, for the future of all that comes forth. And if we're so stuck that we can't see outside of the future, if we're so stuck, guess what? We know, that's fine. We need to do some exploration in the gene keys, right? I feel like this is where I want to end tonight. Okay, this is where I want to end tonight, is that we are each such a complex story. We are each such a complex set of circumstances, seen and unseen. There's so much to us, and we don't have to figure ourselves out in one day, 1 year, 1 month, whatever. We just have to be committed to continuing to look, continuing to go deeper, and we will find miracles occur in our life every single day. We will find it. And it is the most beautiful thing. The difficult things are beautiful. I see it all the time in my work. Every time I work with a client and we hit some big secret, some dark thing that they've never shared, or maybe they have, but very rarely. And we hit some big thing that seems like it would paralyze them, but it surfaces. It is the most beautiful transmutation. And that person leaves feeling light, feeling free, because guess what? They are free. When we have guilt, when we have shame, when we have heaviness, resentment, all of those things, it weighs us down. And yes, we learn to live, we learn to navigate, we learn to move, we learn to hide, we learn to work around it, that we don't even know that there's something different. But as we let go of that, weight, immediate transcendence comes, an immediate elated state comes. And I'm talking a state, this is what people need to understand when we look at our pain and we go into it, a state bigger than any joy could bring us. Well, because we do hit joy, but in a different way, in a freedom way. So that's what I'm going to leave this on tonight. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for the rest of our journey through the 64 gene keys. Again, big shout out to Richard Rudd. You are amazing. I can't wait to connect with you, to meet you, and, see where our connection goes in the future. And yeah, to anyone who listens, check out the Gene Keys, www.genekeys.com. The books are available on the website. Richard's activation sequence is on there, and his other online courses. There's a beautiful journey called the Dream Arc, which I have not done. I am not prepared to go on that journey yet myself, but for some of you, you may feel drawn and ready to embark on such a journey. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Have a beautiful night, and adios. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of the Gene Keys Exploration. If you would like to purchase the Gene Key Record Keeper, please go to www.genekeyrecordkeeper.com, or you can go to Amazon and search Gene Key Record Keeper, and you can purchase your very own copy of a sacred companion tool as you learn, track, and move through your gene keys. Have the most beautiful day, and we'll look forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Bye-bye.